packet switch protocol with built-in redundancy to ensure that the data arrives at its destination. It ensures that it arrives at its destination, but it does not ensure in what order it arrives. Domain names must map to a numerical IP address, IPv4 or IPv6. We use URLs because those are human readable and easy to understand. The internet doesn't care. All it's looking to do is take that URL and translate that into a specific IP address. And that's what it's actually going to be using to navigate. NATing allows multiple computers to share the same public IP addresses. Humans use domain names, machines use IP addresses. Again, we just covered that. And web pages are written in HTML encoding with hyperlinks. And those hyperlinks uh, don't always have to point to what you think they're going to. So, when in doubt, for me, I never click on any links unless I'm absolutely sure I know what it's going to take me to, just out of caution. That may make me paranoid, but just because I'm paranoid does not mean they're not out to get me. Next slide. So, again, in summary, now you should understand how to define a network, the basic internet structure, how data is transmitted over a network, IP addresses and how those are configured, network address translation, or NAT, and domain names. Next slide. Do we have any questions? Okay, no questions, then I will turn it back over to you, Jane.
Great. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. That was very thorough. Okay, so we did go a little bit over on that. We will still maintain have a 30-minute break for you. However, at this break, right now, I would like everybody who's not in the Move and Pick classroom to please turn on your cameras. We're going to take our class photo. So everybody that's on the Zoom call on the internet, please turn on your cameras. And the participants that are in the classroom, please go to the front of the classroom and we will line you up with us in the back on the screen. All right. And then we will resume class at 5 till 11. All right. So the quicker we get up and do our photograph, then the quicker we have a break.
Bên nào là bên phải?
About their experience, and same for the instructors. Please share your experience or example, and they're more willing to talk to you. They are about 12 hours behind us, so it's about almost 10 p.m. there. So for you students, the participants, you can keep them awake by asking a lot of hard questions, and they're more willing to answer you. Um, if not, then we'll just sit here enjoying the great PowerPoint to death. Okay, I don't want that. Okay, Jade, I think we have majority back here, and I'll turn it back to you and to Jeremy to kick off the other portion of the class.
Great. Without any further ado, since we're running just a little bit behind schedule, Jeremy will continue on with navigating Windows 10. Now, this might be a little basic for everybody, so he'll try to go through it a little bit quicker, but if he's going too fast, just let him know. Thank you so much.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. As Jane said, this module is navigating Windows 10. It's going to cover the Windows 10 operating system. We realize that the students that we have in our class now are pretty advanced, and so this will seem pretty remedial for most people. Because of that, and due to some of the time constraints, I'm going to go pretty quickly through this presentation so that I can get you all into some of the technical content that we have for you. But there are some important things that I want to cover with the Windows 10 operating system that are going to be important for investigators to keep in mind as they conduct cyber investigations. So, with that being said, next slide, please. So what are some of our learning objectives for this module? We're going to talk about the Windows 10 folder structure and how to navigate it. We're going to show you how to display the hidden files and folders for this operating system. And I'll also talk briefly about why that's important to do as an investigator. And then I'll show you how to view file properties and metadata within Windows 10. Next slide, please. So why does this matter? Why is it important? As investigators, you need to understand how to navigate Windows. Windows is still the most popular operating system globally. And because of that, you are likely going to encounter Windows more than any other operating system. And understanding how to view the Windows file structure and how to ensure that you are seeing all potential evidence is very important, especially if you are in a situation where you may have to quickly search through a computer to determine if there are any files of interest for your investigation. As investigators, we know that best practices are that you forensically image a computer and view it that way, but that's not always possible if you have a very short turnaround time. You may have to manually go through a system and determine what type of evidentiary value that has. And so some of the things we talk about in this module are going to make sure that you know the settings to put that system into to be able to view the most evidence. Another thing to keep in mind why this is important is because understanding the Windows 10 file structure is really going to give you the basis for just about any forensic tools. They are all based off of kind of the Windows operating system framework because Windows is the most popular operating system in the world. So if you understand the Windows structure and the file structure, it'll make utilizing those tools much easier. Next slide. So this talks about the exercise that's in your workbook for 1.5. I'm going to continue on with the presentation. Feel free to follow along on your computers. This is definitely interactive, and the more hands-on the keyboard you get, I feel the better the experience is going to be. So as I'm going through the slides, please feel free to follow along on your own system through the Windows File Explorer. Next slide. So what we're going to talk about now is several methods on how you can access that file explorer. The first one is through the taskbar, and that is by clicking on the file explorer icon located at the bottom of the screen. Should be at the bottom of the screen. Next slide. Method two involves right click on the start button uh, and left click on File Explorer, and that will also open up the File Explorer. Next slide. For those who would prefer to use the keyboard, you can use the Windows key in combination with the E, and that will also open up the Explorer. Next slide. And then you can always type in, you can always use a search box to the right of the Windows button, and that will be found simply by typing explorer.exe in that search bar, as shown here. Next slide. Again, typing in that explorer.exe will give you the result of the Windows File Explorer, as shown here. Next slide. The fifth method involves clicking on the round circle to the right of the Start button. Type only the word Explore in the command box, and then click the File Explorer. We'll also open it up. Next slide. As shown here. Next slide. All right. Now that we finally have the File Explorer open by whatever method worked for you, this is what you should see as far as the overall view of the File Explorer. Now, keep in mind the specific folders and files within the File Explorer will be different on your system, but this is generally the overall view. Next slide. So what can you do in this view? As you can see up here in this example, you can change the way the information is presented to you. As investigators, I like to make sure that I am viewing the details. So I click on view and make sure details are shown, because that's going to give me the most information about the files that are present on the system itself. In addition to that, details will also, in addition to this, you can also, if you look to the right, you have checkboxes, which will allow you to view file name extensions, which I check. So I want to see the extensions to see if a file has been renamed, and also hidden items, which I also make sure that I can see. Next slide. We're going to go further into that in a few more slides. So here you can see that the Windows Explorer allows you to view the hard drive, the local disk that's installed. Next slide. You can also sort ascending or descending to better organize the data that you're being displayed, as shown here. This will sort all your files alphabetically and make it easier to search as an investigator. If you're looking for a specifically named file or folder, this will allow you to better organize that data. Next slide. So in addition to that, you can also sort by date modified. This is very important as an investigator. If you have a specific date range of interest for your investigation, dates that you think files were modified or introduced to the system, By sorting through this, it can allow you to quickly identify those files. Next slide. So as you see here, you can also sort on the type of file. If there's a specific file of interest to you, whether it's a folder, whether it's a text document, Excel spreadsheet, or other files, file type, by using this to sort from, it'll allow you to sort through that information and identify the files of interest much quicker. Next slide. And as you can see, you can also sort by size. This is also extremely valuable if you know if you're looking for abnormally sized files. This will allow you to find that. One example of that would be if you're looking for potential steganography and images that have had data hidden within them. This might be a great method to find suspicious files, oversized JPEGs that are several megabytes in size should definitely be looked at because that's not normally the size of that file, and that could be indicative of data being hidden within that file. So that's just one example of how you could use file size to quickly identify something of interest. Next slide. So again, while you're in the detail view, if you left click on the column header to view other properties, these are all the different options that you can sort by. As you can see, you can sort by authors, date created, date modified, the file name, type, tags, title. Windows gives you multiple ways to sort the data. Next slide. So let's talk about the option view and why this is important. So you would click on the options in the down arrow and click on change folder and search options. This is really important as an investigator, and we'll get into that in the next slide, actually. Do the next slide. So when you click on the View tab, you want to make sure that you configure the advanced settings on the computer to show your hidden files, folders, and drives, and to display system files. And why is that important? Because criminals have been known to hide files on a computer simply by making them hidden, by changing their hidden attribute in the properties. And so if they do that and the system isn't configured to show hidden files, an investigator that is quickly going through a computer looking for evidence may not see them.